Alright guys, I'm gonna level with you. I've had a pretty rough couple days, man. I've had a pretty weird couple weeks, actually, and I had meant to put out this video on Thursday, but I actually meant to record it right after my last video, which was the Hunter x Hunter arc tier list video. And you know the saying, nothing ever goes according to plan? That's basically what happened here, because the second I was like, oh yeah, let me just shoot this next video, right? My professors decided, in all their infinite wisdom, that it would be best to assign all of our midterms within the span of like 1 week. And the worst part, and this is the part that was really tricky for me, was I had planned to go on vacation. I was really trying to be efficient and get on top of my schoolwork at the same time, just getting kind of readjusted into my normal routine again, so that's why this video seems so weird. And speaking of weird, man, I made a huge mistake in my last video that you guys didn't know about, but I'm gonna show you what it is right here. I already announced this on my community tab post, but this is gonna be my formal announcement. So I think by far the most requested thing I get constantly under my Gone as a Monster video is to watch Alexander's The Morality of Gone Freaks video. And I thought it would be fun to do that. However, there is one condition. Here's what I had in mind. If the channel gets to 3,000 subscribers before the end of the year, I will react to Alexander's video. So tell all your family members, share the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Get everybody on board. So the reason I had to cut that part out was because I remembered to say it at the end of the video. By the time the tier list was all done and over, which you could see on the screen, I had just remembered to say it, and I meant to say it at the very beginning of the video. Basically, without getting too technical, I couldn't remove the window of what was on my screen, and I didn't want to give away the entire tier list before the video started. So, just to reiterate, 3,000 subs before the end of the year, I will be reacting to Alexander's Gone video. And just to sweeten the deal here, guys, totally dumb universal luck, really, is what happened here, because the day after I make that announcement on my community tab, which, by the way, guys, check out the community tab for a lot of cool stuff. I don't have a Twitter, so I kind of use the community tab as a Twitter, but let me know if you'd be interested in following me on Twitter, because I'd be more than happy to make one. So let me know if that's something you guys want to see. 2 days after I make that announcement, the craziest thing happened. After 3 years, I checked the upload date. Since Alexander made his first video, this guy uploaded a part 2. He added on more to the first video, completely by coincidence. So that, for me, is a sign, and it should be for you too. 3,000 subs before the end of the year, I will be reacting to Alexander's initial video. And just to sweeten the pot, if we get an extra 500 subs, so at 3,500 subs, I'll make a video reacting to the second video. We're going on an Alexander marathon over here. So with that out of the way, let's get started with the video. I will be leaving timestamps in the description because I got a lot to say, guys, okay? Alright, so as with all of my tier list videos, which by the way, guys, I have an entire playlist of all my Hunter x Hunter videos and all my tier list videos. I have playlists for everything. I'll leave a link to all my tier list playlists and Hunter x Hunter playlists up there and in the description, so click those if you want to see my other tier lists and other Hunter x Hunter content. We're going to start by explaining what these categories mean, and then we're going to get into the actual rankings. Again, timestamps will be in the description if you don't want to sit through this part. We're going to start off from the top all the way down. So, Simp Supreme, the Emperor Simp. They are simp personified. They simp harder, faster, stronger, everything, more than the average person. They aren't just a simp. Nobody can out-simp them. Top of the food chain simping. Now, below that, we just have your typical vanilla simp. Now, this kind of simp is pretty tame compared to Simp Supreme, but don't let that fool you, because being in simp tier means that you're still a simp. There's no doubt about it. You wear that on your sleeve. It is a huge part of who you are, but you have at least one sliver of silver lining that prevents you from being the Simp Supreme. But you're just not quite enough of a simp to be a Simp Supreme. Now, lower than that is Simp Tendencies, which just means they do a lot of simping actions for a certain person, but it's not consuming their entire identity. But it's enough to a point where it's noticeable. It's a major part of who they are, but it's not entirely who they are. Now, sus just means that they're teetering on simp tendencies and they have to be careful. They have slip-ups here and there, and they're especially vulnerable when it comes to a certain person, but otherwise, as long as they can relatively keep their composure, they should err on the side of not being a simp. However, they're still closer to being a simp than they are to not being a simp. Now, below sus is actually cool. It means you're right. You have a fairly balanced combination of simping and chatting, or kinging if you want to go all the way. You're alright, you're not necessarily borderline yet, and it's what I consider to be the very, 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 very bare minimum of what I call the green zone of being a king or a Chad. Now, below cool is Chad, obviously. If you're a Chad, you're a Chad. You don't really simp. It's not who you are. It's not a big part of who you are. You simp for the people that matter. You simp for the people that mean the most to you, who actually deserve it, and you get some reciprocation back. Now, below that, we have King. King is pretty self-explanatory. You don't simp for anybody, for anything. You simp for yourself. Actually, you don't even do that. You simp for nothing, all right? You're too cool. Simping isn't even in your vocabulary. It just doesn't happen. It's not a part of who you are. It's not part of your blood. You're just hashtag built different. That's the truth. You're a king. And underneath is who cares, because who cares? And probably Pokel's gonna be in there because Pokel sucks. Anyway, with all of the categories explained, let's get into this tier list. All right, now we're gonna start off with Canary. Now, Canary's pretty cool, but she does simp pretty hard for Killua. But it's weird, she simps for him as a friend. So I'm gonna go with simp tendencies. Canary simps for Killua. Now, alright, I'm gonna say it. This is gonna be a hot take, but I think Leorio's sus. Here's why. Leorio simped for a woman he just met on the chance that he got to grope her, knowing full well that he was probably going to lose. He risked not only himself, but his entire team of passing the Hunter exam because he wanted to cop a feel. Leorio's definitely in sus. The only reason he's not higher is because it was a kind of a one-time occurrence. So that's it. You could argue that he simps for his friends, but he's a good dude, and they'd probably simp for him back. Now, next one. Oh man, we're just going. Okay, Poof. Simp Supreme. Wow, I didn't think we'd get that far, but yeah, nobody. Oh, you know what? There might be one other person, but nobody else simps harder than Poof. Poof really is the gold standard of simping, because not only does he simp for Meruem, right? He is so willing to live and die for Meruem, and to protect Meruem from himself, and to protect the integrity of Meruem as his king, that this guy will literally let Meruem eat him for sustenance to regain his strength. That is how much of a simp he is. This guy was such a simp that he was willing to kill Komugi because she was competition for his simp target, subject, whatever. This guy takes simping and makes it a new level. It's a gold standard. Poof really is impossible to out-simp. He is simp supreme. Alright, next up we have Killua's grandfather. So I'm going to put Killua's grandfather in King. Killua's grandfather doesn't simp for anybody. Alright? He has not simped in the entire time of Hunter x Hunter, and I don't think he's going to. Alright, now we have Yuppie. Now, Yuppie is not quite the same level of simp as Poof, but I know you're thinking, whoa, Kreams, didn't he also feed himself to Meruem? Yeah, but he wasn't a simp from day one. Keep in mind, Poof was like a day one simp. He came out of the womb simping. Alright, this guy needed some convincing to simp, but once he got that convincing, ooh boy, look at him go. Yuppie was a simp for Meruem, but not quite as hardcore as Poof was to Meruem. Now, I think the lowest person on the simp totem pole when it comes to the royal guards for the Chimera Ants was definitely Pito. They definitely go in simp tendencies because they were simping really hard near the end, but I don't know, they were mostly independent for like almost the entirety of their run. So yeah, they only got hardcore simpness at the very end, so that's why they're in simp tendencies. Now, next up we have Netero, King. Obviously. Netero never simped. Actually, you know what? There was that one time he looked at, what's her name? Machi's boobs. But you know what? I'm willing to forgive that a little bit because he is pervy old anime sensei. But he's not really a sensei, so he's just an old perv. But you know what? That was the only occurrence. It wasn't mentioned any further, so he still retains king status. And he also went out like a king. Ain't no simp going out that hard. Alright, next we have Moral. Okay, so I think with Moral, he's a Chad. I don't know what it is, but you know what? No, Moral's a king. Moral's a king. I'm thinking about it now. He never simped for nobody, dude. This guy does not simp. He has never ever simped. You know how I know this? In his fight with Cheeto. This guy didn't even simp for the fight. He sat down and lied down on the grass and took his sweet time. He fought on his own terms. That's some king shit right there. All right, next we have Phaeton. I think Phaeton's a king. You know, he does things his own way, marches to the beat of his own drummer, more or less. He never simped. He took anytime he was going to fight somebody, he took them seriously for the most part. But like he never did anything simp worthy. All right, next we have Komugi. All right, I think this might be a bit of a hotter take than most people were expecting, but I think Komugi was she was cool. And I'll tell you why. Because she only simped for Meruem after he simped for her first. He was willing to die with Meruem, but she didn't initially simp for him. It was a one-way simping until it was reciprocated. So, she's in cool. And the only reason she's not in Chad is because she really did die for him, which is a pretty drastic simp action. Alright, so Machi goes in sus. I can't get a good read on her, but she seems to have very slight tsundere, I think that's how you say it, tsundere tendencies when it comes to Hisoka. It's very much like a passive flirting here and there. All right, like she's not in the clear yet. All right, Bisky is also in sus, and that's for the sole reason that she thirsted over Hisoka, even knowing that he was a villain. So you know what? I might bump her down at cool because she never acted upon her simping, and it was a one-time simping, and I'm willing to let it pass. All right, next we have Meruem. Now, I'm gonna put him in Chad, and the reason I'm not putting him in King, even though that would be hilarious, is because he did simp for Komugi first, and he did die with her. But, the reason he's in a tier above, or technically below here, is for one simple reason, and that is Komugi reciprocated the simping to him. So it wasn't a one-way simping, it was mutual, and we in the adult business call that love. So he gets Chad. Alright, the reason Komugi's in cool is because she didn't have to die, but she chose to die, which is a more drastic simp action. Meruem had no choice. He had no choice in the matter. He was gonna die, so there's the difference. Alright, Ubunaga, sus. He was simping really hard for Ovigi, and after Kurapika killed him. So in my book, that's some really hardcore simping. He was willing to fight Hisoka for that. I don't know, man. That's some simp stuff right there. You know what? I might even put him in simp tendencies. Pariston, king. Pariston simps for no man, no thing on the planet. Pariston simps for himself, and that's all I'll say on the matter. Forgot her name, but she was cool, I guess. She here's the thing, she never really simped for anybody, but she did simp for truth and justice in politics, and I gotta dock her points for that. There's naivete, and then there's just simping. All right, so next we have Melody. Melody's cool. Melody's cool. Illumi simps really hard for his family, but he does it in a very weird way. So I'm gonna put him in cool, bordering on sus. You know what? I'm gonna put him in sus because the weird stuff that he does can only be described as toxic simping. Illumi's a bad simp, is what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna leave it there. Wing, the guy can't even tuck in his shirt, so I'm gonna put him in Chad. He tucks in his shirt at his own time, or he just forgets. He doesn't care. He's Wing. Knuckle, simp tendencies, easily. Knuckle simps for everything adorable, alright? He simps for anybody at the slightest chance of them being good, even if they're literally monsters. Knuckle has very high simp tendencies. Alright, next up we have Nove, and I don't even know what to do with this guy. This guy's a roller coaster. He doesn't really simp, but he's not a king either. I want to say he's cool. So this guy doesn't even really simp because he's just too dead inside. I'm just gonna put him in cool because this guy needs a break. All right, next we have Sphinx. All right, I think I'm gonna put the rest of the Phantom Troop, or at least these next three members, all in cool, because their simping really only extends to the Phantom Troop, and they don't really simp for anything else. But they do it in a pretty, cool way. It's not like a very way, you know what I'm saying? And if you want an example, Uvogin is a simp because there's defending the honor of your team and then there's simping for them, dude. Uvogin is like obsessed with the Phantom Troop, all right? He would not betray them until the very end because he loved all of them like a simp. Next we have Killua's other sister, got her name. I'm gonna say Sus, because I also can't read her. She is not the same as Illumi though. Illumi's got his own little weird system going on. She, on the other hand, seems to have like a weird simping relationship with Killua that's really subtle. All right, next up we have Genthru. Genthru's gonna be cool because he only simps for the boys. Next we have Menchi. She simps for food pretty hard, so I'm gonna put her in simp tendencies. Cortopi, who cares? I don't want to put him anywhere on this list. Who cares about Cortopi? Franklin, he's alright, I guess. Same with the other Phantom Troop members. Palm, simp. Now, the thing about Palm is she can go into Simp Supreme. However, as obsessed as she is with Gon, enough to make Hisoka blush, by the way, she is still disproportionately way less of a simp than Poof was on his worst day, because she did what Poof could never do. She backed off for a period of time. That is just impossible for an ant person like Poof to comprehend. He never backed off. So yeah, she's a simp. Alright, now Satotes, I'm gonna put him in simp tendencies because he simps for Jean really hard. Like really hard. This guy's kind of obsessed with Jean. Alright, so for Killua, I think a lot of people are probably most curious about Killua out of everybody on this list. Alright, so here's how it's gonna go, guys. This is a simp tier list. And when it comes to simping, Killua is a simp. Alright, Killua is a certified simp. He's beyond simp tendencies. He does simp for Gon, but he also simps for Aluka. The lengths that he went to in the chairman election arc is just simpness to a T. Now, you might argue, oh sure, Gon and Aluka reciprocate that. And you know what? You're right. So I'm actually gonna bump him down to simp tendencies just because his hardcore simping, because he does simp hardcore, I don't care what anybody says, Killua is a simp for Gon and Aluka. But since it is reciprocated, it does mitigate some of the simpness. So Killua is still a simp, but he has been demoted or upgraded to simp tendencies, depending on how you look at it. This guy, who cares? Hanzo, Chad. Hanzo's a Chad. He never simps for anything or anybody, but he's not developed enough for me to give him king status. You know, he can't hang with these big dogs right here. But Hanzo's a Chad. He has potential to go full king. Pokol, not even worth it. Shellnark, no. I kind of want to add a trash tier just for these two scumbags, but whatever. Shoot was a Chad. He really stepped up, and he earned himself Chad title. It's like he really poured his heart and soul into it. I forgot her name. She died because of Pokol's cowardice, incompetence, uselessness, name it. She was alright. She was cool. Tompa, my dude Tompa. You know, I still get a lot of flack for ranking him so high in my Hunter x Hunter character tier list. I don't know why people hate him so much, but I really enjoy him. And he's a Chad. He doesn't really simp for anybody except for himself, but he doesn't quite do it with the same style and grace as Pariston. Mito, she's cool, I guess. Nothing really to say. Miluki, Killua's brother, is sus. Man, I'm putting all the Zoldycks in sus, but not for the same reasons. I don't know. It's funny to me. Just because he has a simping habit for food and video games and like everything that doesn't involve going outside. Jean. Unfortunately, Jean's a king, and I'll tell you why. For the same reasons as Pariston, but the fact that he gets other people to simp for him as hard as he does means that he's actually above Pariston because his simp deficit weighs heavily in his favor. Alright, Pakunora, simp tendencies, because she was also obsessed with the Phantom Troop like Uvogin. Actually, you know what? She was a simp. She was a simp for the Phantom Troop. Enough so that she disobeyed Crollo's main prerogative of put the Phantom Troop before the leader. And she not only disrespected that, but she went out and put all of her memories in like the main Phantom Troops' heads. You know, that's just some simp status. She simped for the Phantom Troops so hard that she died for them, just like Uvogin. Neon, who cares? Cheeto, who cares? Hagia was cool. He was cool. He was really, really cool. I would argue that he's a Chad, actually. I liked him a lot. All right, now, speaking of Chads, I want to give Colt Chad status. Actually, you know, I'm going to put him in cool. I'm going to put him in cool because he does simp for the queen and for his sister slash Kite's reincarnation. It all worked out for him in the end, and that's the best way I could describe that. Now, Meliaron, I know I'm saying that so wrong, but guys, I am exhausted, and I'm not trying to be a stickler for semantics here. All right, Meliaron's going in king. I love this dude, all right? He does not simp except for maybe his cigarettes, but otherwise, he's a king. Now, this guy, simp. This guy got converted into a simp so fast. Ikalgo, bro, I love Ikalgo. He might actually be my favorite Hunter x Hunter character. Ikalgo's got some simp tendencies when it comes to Killua. I'm sorry, he does. Her, who cares? Who cares? Kite was a Chad. He never simped. That's a thing. I know. I never really. People have this misconception that I hate Kite, but I actually really like Kite. My problem was with Gon, not Kite. Kite's cool. Kite's a Chad. All right. Who cares? Bro, who cares about any of these people? No. Hisoka. Wow. I didn't realize how low he was on this list. Man, they saved like all of the like big characters to the very end of the list. That's kind of weird. Hisoka is a simp. We all know this. This is not news to anybody. Hisoka's a simp for Gon. He's a simp for Killua. He's a simp for fighting. He's a simp for everything that involves him getting off. So he simps for himself in the same way Pariston and Jean do, but in the opposite end of the spectrum where he simps for himself by simping for other people. It's very weird, I know, but like that's the best way I could describe it. Killua's dad, he's a king. You know, he gets it from his father. He doesn't simp for nobody. Goto is sus because again with the Zoldyx. Should just rename this to Zoldyx and Leorio. All right, so he is sus because he simps so hard for the Zoldyx. And the only reason he's not further up is because of how cool this guy is. This guy was doing his job and he loved it and he did it gracefully and he was cool and he was a good character. It sucks that Hisoka killed him. Kurapika is cool because he simps for his clan's eyes, but otherwise he's cool in every other aspect of his life. He does not simp for anybody, not even his friends. All right, next we have Razor. Razor simps for Jean. That is the truth, but Razor is pretty cool. All right, he simps for Jean, but otherwise, this man simps for nothing. All right, so actually I'm gonna put him in Chad. I'm gonna put him in Chad right next to Kite. But they both kind of simp for Jean. Gon, as much as it pains me to say this, Gon's a Chad. And here's why. He joins Kite and Razor and maybe Satotes for simping Jean. Otherwise, outside of Jean, they simp for nobody and they get simped for. And that is the main difference. So yeah, Gon's a Chad. People simp Gon. Aluka, she's cool. She's cool. She simps for Killua, but it's like a mutual simping. And oh man, I thought I put her with the rest of the Zoldyx. All right, next we have Crollo. Crollo's a Chad, borderline on king, and I'll tell you why he's not king. Because actually, you know what? He's a king. He is a king because he doesn't even simp for the Phantom Troop that he's the head of. He basically tells them on third thought he is Chad because he does put the Phantom Troop ahead of himself technically. You know, like right next to Meruem. I'd say they're in the same ballpark of Chadness. And lastly, we have Zushi. Zushi has some simp tendencies when it comes to Gon and Killua and martial arts. All right, so here it is, the full simp tier list. Let me know what categories you'd put these guys in. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.